About 2 days before 2024, God gave me this vision about how angels work. I was in a hotel room. I was struggling to fall asleep, and God said to me, Dakota, would you just like to come on up? And I said, yes, that would be really great, because sometimes the peace that you feel in heaven, and I don't even think I experience all the peace that there is to offer because I'm still connected to this body that is still in this world when I go. But even so, the peace that I experience when I'm there is just, well, it can help you fall asleep, that's for sure. So I opened my spiritual eyes and I saw God reach his hand down to grasp mine. And I asked, did Jesus Christ come in the flesh? I always test pretty much everything I see with that question to know if this is really of God or something else. And got the answer, yes. So I grabbed God's hand and he pulled me right up to heaven, but we didn't go where I thought. And I heard God saying, I'm going to show you something new. Okay, so I've never seen this space before. I already knew that before I landed. When I did sort of land, everything was sort of a blur, and that often happens when I first get to a new place spiritually. Now, me physically, I'm still in bed, and so my physical body is kind of like relaxed, and my eyes are closed, so I could just, to someone observing, just look like I'm sleeping. But my spirit is partially visiting heaven. And I got to do another video about kind of how this works and the nature of a human spirit that allows these sorts of visits to happen without me actually having to die. That's a big bonus. I really like that. Anyway, when my eyesight is sort of sharpening, I see lots of movement around me. And when I kind of try to make out, I look around and I go, I feel like I'm in an industrial kitchen. And that's what it looked like. There were kind of plain white walls and hallways and maybe silver tables. It really looked like a kitchen you would see in like a hotel or something, like a big industrial kitchen. There wasn't a lot of fancy fanfare. And at first it didn't look like heaven because it wasn't ornate. There wasn't gold infused everything. But yet there was still this glow, this energy that came from everything that was like, no, I think I'm still in heaven. As I'm looking around, I also see these short, I wasn't sure if they were people or angels at first, just walking by. And I'm 5'2", so to have anything shorter than me, you got to be short, really short. So they were about a foot shorter than I was, and I remember watching them go past, and I asked one kind of got closer to me, and he had a cart, like a trolley cart, and he pushed it in front of me, and he's like, here, stay attached to this. We're going to show you around. And I go, okay. And he was very busy. And I go, can I ask you questions? Because there was lots of movement and everyone had a purpose and I didn't know what I was just standing there. And he said, yes, you can ask me questions without stopping. He goes somewhere else. And as he's just like a few feet away from me to grab something else, another item. And so I asked him, are you an angel? And he said, we are all angels and we are preparing to go to, I think it was the way he phrased it was like, go on a mission. He comes back to me and he says, here, put this on. Or actually he didn't ask to put it on. He just like, here. And I bent my head down and he put an apron over me. And I'm like, okay, now I really feel like I'm in a kitchen. So I look around and it's still, I don't see any food. So I'm still trying to figure this out. This angel, even though he's told me he's an angel and I can ask him questions, I still felt like he was really busy. So I was trying to figure it out myself. So I bend down and look at the cart, and underneath the cart, because, you know, a lot of these like trolley carts have, at least the ones on Earth, they have 2 layers. Well, this cart did as well. And underneath were, it wasn't food that was sitting there, but it was a bunch of small, like handheld mirrors. And mirrors can have so many different kinds of significance. Well, anyway, so they weren't preparing food, but they were preparing something. So then it was almost like, I think this angel that had spoken to me was one of the leaders of this situation, because it was almost like everyone could heard a bell ring except me. I couldn't hear it, but I saw everyone suddenly change, start to come towards this doorway that was to my right. And no, sorry, to my left. I'm terrible with left and right. To my left, I saw this doorway coming to my left, and it opened up. And as it was opening with a ramp that led up to it, like I felt like we were about to go into a hotel ballroom, you know, to like nice, real, I don't know. And it had a ramp leading up, and I just start going with them, and I notice everyone is wearing one of these aprons. But through this doorway, I pass through, and suddenly I don't see anything except the blackness of space and some stars. And it's very disconcerting. I can't see my own arms. I can sort of feel and maybe hear a little bit, but I can't see. And oh man, it really irritates me when this happens. It happens a lot. And well, for me, it's a lot. And I remember just immediately calling on God because he's always in my heart. And so I know I can ask him if I can't see anything else. I said, God, what is going on? And I heard an answer. It's okay, Dakota. You are just transitioning from one dimension to another dimension. And there are multiple dimensions. Heaven sits on, well, a pretty fantastic dimension that's actually very close to our physical dimension. But we were heading to a different one. And that actually makes sense because angels are, in fact, designed to help us. And we are on a physical dimension. Although we interact with a lot of the dimensions spiritually, even though we don't know it. So so God told me, just have peace. You're just going to finish transitioning. Okay, I can have peace. So I just sort of went with the flow. And after a good 30 seconds, I felt like I was walking into another ring of light. And I think this was just how long it took for me to transition. And when I walked through this light, the scene had certainly changed. I was not in a hotel ballroom, that's for sure. I looked around and I saw people. And this is interesting. My spirit is visiting, but I believe I was at a certain place on earth. The people couldn't see me, but I could see them. And I could see the angels. I could see the angels again, but the people couldn't see the angels either. And I looked, and all these humans, I knew they were people for sure, because they looked miserable. They were all like hunched over, and they looked like they were probably living homeless in a cold place. And I stood there for a second, checking myself, can they say me? I figured out they couldn't, but the angels were already busy. And as I watched them go, they were nearly invisible even to me, but I could see their movement. And I realized that's what the aprons were doing. They were helping us be sort of invisible so we could go and interact with these people. And what these angels were doing were they were going around to the different people. And as the people were sort of hunched over, an angel would come and sort of almost like check temperature, check some vitals, I guess spiritual vitals. I don't even know what kind of vitals they were checking, but they were checking certain things and like checking on the eyes of these people. And then when they had sort of done a little assessment, then the angel would bring a tool from the cart and put this in front of the person. And so the mirrors were used as almost like, all right, it's time for a self-reflection. And so what I think these people were experiencing, they were unaware there were angels around them. And I did ask that one angel that had said, you can ask me questions. And I asked him, what's going on with these people? And he said, these people are all drug addicts. And they've all just they're coming down off of a drug right now, off of one use. And so the coming down is it's a tough time, especially if you don't know you can get more, and your body's like depleted of all the happy energy, so you feel extra low. And so it's a tough time. And so these angels were coming to help these people as they were hitting their lows. And I saw that they were doing, and I knew these angels wanted to remain unknown. So what the people were experiencing was they're feeling really, really low. But for example, the little mirrors, if an angel had come by a person and seen, okay, this one needs a little self-reflection right now, the angel would put the spiritual mirror in front of a person, but the person wouldn't see a mirror. They would just feel like they should self-reflect. And listen, self-reflecting is not always fun, especially if you're just coming off of a high. But what these angels told me is that they are also caring for the person in other ways and trying to help them feel better too, like say encouraging things, help them get through this low. And yet some of them needed self-reflection because these angels had checked and their hearts were actually, the human beings' hearts were actually closer to making a change. And so in those moments, you needed a little extra self-reflection. I knelt next to a person as my guide angel was helping another person, and the person couldn't see either of us, and I knew that was part of it. And I asked the angel, why do you guys want to remain anonymous? And the angel, without looking at me, continued to work with this person, said, because they wouldn't accept the help if they knew they were getting help. That just threw me back because I'm learning so much about human beings' choice, right? Like, what do we choose? Like, what do we say we want, but do we actually choose it? Like, do you say you want your own business and you'd love to be a billion millionaire? But do you actually choose the safety of the job? Like stuff like that, when it really comes down to it, what do you choose? Do you say you choose to have a loving, committed marriage, but when it really comes down to it and you're presented with the opportunity, what do you choose? I guess I'm saying, like, you don't really know how you're going to respond sometimes until you're in the moment. And these angels knew that. So they knew the person wouldn't accept the help if they knew they were getting help, and yet they needed help. So these were these silent angels. And I said, well, are there some times where, like, you guys make yourself known? And the angel said, not us, but there are other angels that can tell when a person's heart is open and ready to receive. And I go, really? And that my guide angel said, yeah, in fact, look over there. So I look up and I feel again like I am drawn somewhere. And I see this angel like what you would imagine Gabriel the angel looks like. This was not Gabriel, but it was a very grand, 7-foot tall, golden skin, golden hair, beautiful wings angel was approaching one of the people that had coming off of this high. And I came to the angel. The angel had not quite yet made himself known to the person, but he was about to. And I could tell there was this slight lull, and it was a moment for me to ask the angel a question. And I asked this angel, I'm standing on the angel's right side, and the angel is facing this person who has actually stood up. The other, like, kind of still slouched over, but standing. Everyone else was just sort of. I asked the angel, how do you know that this is the time? And the angel said, you have to come to the end of exploring yourself. Ooh, I don't know, I felt that on many levels personally. And the angel went on to say, drugs, things like exploring reincarnation and past lives, tarot card reading. Those were just a few examples. I know there's thousands more. This angel said that is all a disempowered effort to explore yourself. He said you have to reach the end of that before you're ready to accept what God has for you. That about my brain. And I'll be honest, I was thinking about that so hard that I think God closed the vision before I even saw what the angel was going to do with the person that was ready. But their heart was actually open. I did see that. Another interesting note is that the smaller angels who wanted to remain anonymous didn't feel at all like they were less than the bigger angel who was known to be, or was like going to be seen. And the reason was because, well, there's just no jealousy, no needing each other's resources in heaven. The angels all know they play their part and they are suited for it and good at it, and it is for the work of God. And so while humans may have had, if humans were in these roles, they may have maybe coveted the bigger angel who gets to be known, but angels themselves don't operate that way. I hope this blesses you.